Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the November 15th, 2021 meeting of the City Plan Commission. Before we begin, I'll outline the procedure that we will follow for our public hearing. As each agenda item is called, the applicant or his or her representative and persons for the request will be allowed to speak. Then persons against the request will be allowed to speak. If there is opposition to the request, the applicant will be allowed to make a short rebuttal. All persons wishing to speak need to come to the microphone at the front of the room. Please state your name and address for the record. All statements made should be relevant to agenda item and be limited to 3 minutes. If there are several persons in favor of or opposed to a request, we encourage you to allow 1 or 2 persons to act as spokesperson for the group. If you like, a spokesperson for a group may request that the group stand and be recognized. While public discourse is very important to the Commission, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from this meeting any persons while addressing the Commission or while attending the Commission meeting, making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, who become boisterous or making unauthorized remarks from the audience, stomping of feet, whistles, yells, or similar demonstrations. The Commission members have reviewed each of these items in a previous work session. The recommendations we make tonight to the City Council will be based on the work session and the information provided by staff, as well as any additional information presented tonight. After completing the hearing on each item, the Commission will consider action of the item. The action taken tonight on these items will be in the form of a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will also conduct a hearing on these items, which will be held Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. The record and recommendation of the Plan Commission and new testimony will be considered by the Council at that time. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of our October 26th, 2021 work session, October 26th, 2021 business meeting. Are there any changes or additions? Seeing none, they stand approved as written. The first item on our agenda is item 1 on our subdivision ordinances. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a public hearing on a request for final plat of the Bauman Edition Lot 1, Block 1, and a variance request to the requirement for the extension of a sanitary sewer main per the Waco Subdivision Ordinance for the proposed subdivision plat entitled Final Plat of the Bauman Edition Lot 1, Block 1.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak? Is anyone else here to speak in support of the application? Is anyone here to speak against the application? Do any commissioner members have any questions? We'll close the public hearing on this item. We'll entertain a motion first on the variance request for the extension of the sanitary sewer.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the variance request on Bauman Edition Lot 1, Block 1.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Vickers and a second by Mr. Browse. Do we have any further discussion?
To be clear, is it an approval with conditions?
City staff recommends approval of both the variance request and the subdivision plat, but I think his motion was just for the variance.
Yep.
With conditions.
With conditions for the variance,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, with
yes.
conditions, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So yes.
All right. Good question.
Any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Okay. And now we'll open it up for a motion on the final plat of the Bauman Edition Lot 1, Block 1.
What's the city's recommendation?
Approval.
Move to approve. Based on staff
For the, no, for item 1, it's just for approval, straight approval, yes.
I move to approve based on staff findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Browse, second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Embry.
Yes.
Fajardo.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jefferson.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
We will move on to our remaining subdivision items. What is staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request for the following subdivision plats. Final plat and construction plans of the Chapel Ridge Addition Phase 10, final plat and construction plans of the Liberty Oaks Addition, amended preliminary plat of the Thanksgiving Park Addition, and preliminary plat of the Lake Ridge Estates Addition. City staff has reviewed these plats and recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on any of these items? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of these items? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to these items? Close the public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval with conditions from staff. We'll entertain a motion.
I move that we recommend approval with conditions based on staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Lane.
Correct.
Any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse.
Yes.
Cole. Embry.
Yes.
Fajardo.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jefferson.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
We'll move to our zoning applications. In the case of Z-21-75, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Wagbu Properties LLC for property at 1001 Webster Avenue and 406 and 418 South 11th Street to rezone from M2 and M3 to C4. We mailed out 30 notices for this request and had 0 returned. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the zoning from M2 and M3 to C4 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco, a plan for greater downtown. 2, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C4 zoning district. 3, the area has been transitioning from industrial uses to commercial mixed uses. And 4, there is C4 zoning in the vicinity of the subject property.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? Now, just state your name and address, and you can.
Everyone, my name is Josh Turner, Manager Real Estate. Might be easier. We just closed on the property on Friday, and we're planning on doing mixed-use retail and restaurant. It's about 54,000 square feet, and we plan on bringing at least probably 20 different tenants to the space, and hopefully within the next 10 to 12 months we'll have that ready.
Any questions from commissioners? Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else who is here to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Would we have any final discussion from commissioners? Close the public hearing, and we will entertain a motion. We have a recommendation of approval from city staff.
I move to approve in accordance with the city staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Ms. Reynolds. Do we have any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse.
Yes.
Cole. Embry.
Yes.
Fajardo.
Yes.
Harris.
Abstain?
Jefferson.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Smith.
Abstain.
Vickers.
Yes.
8-0. 8-0. With 2 abstentions.
Okay. In the case of Z-21-76, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a request, this is a public hearing on a request from Nick Craig on behalf of Vines Property Group LLC for property located along the north side of Creekview Drive, south of South New Road, described as 20.126 acres of land in the Thomas J. Chambers Survey, abstract number 7, City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas. Said 20.126 acres of land being a portion of that certain tract of land described in a general warranty deed to Waco Johnson 143 Venture LLC, hereinafter referred to as Waco Johnson 143 Venture Tract, as recorded in instrument number 2014-018066, official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and with a property ID of 167933, to rezone from C2 to O2. We mailed out 13 notices for this request and had 0 returned. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the zoning from C2 to O2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the O2 zoning district. And 4, there is O2 zoning in the vicinity of the subject property.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on the item? Come forward if you can state your name and address and address the commission.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. I'm Nick Craig with Vines Property Group. Our address is 4329 Reeder Road in Carrollton. We're here for the application because we intend to use the property for a build to rent, so single family in construction and nature, but multifamily in operation. So that was why the staff recommended we make the change from C2 to O2 because we kind of straddle that difference. So.
Any questions from commissioners? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any additional people, members here to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? We'll close the public hearing. We'll entertain a motion. We do have a recommendation of approval from city staff.
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Embry, second by Mr. Vickers. Do we have any further discussion before we vote? Please poll the commission.
Browse.
Yes.
Cole. Yes. Embry.
Yes.
Fajardo.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jefferson.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
Thank you. In the case of Z-21-77, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, this is a public hearing for a request from Leopoldo and Maria Fajardo for property located at 3024 South 3rd. The request is for a land use designation change from urban residential to medium density residential office flex, and from R1B single family residence district to R3B multifamily residence district. We mailed out 28 notices and received 0 in return. Planning Services recommends disapproval of the request to change the land use designation from urban residential to medium density residential office flex based on the following findings. The proposed land use could be considered incompatible with the existing low density residential land use designations adjacent to the subject property. The existing infrastructure and street conditions are not adequate to support the densities allowed in medium density residential office flex. Planning Services further recommends disapproval of the request to change the zoning from R1B to R3B based on the following findings. The proposed zoning is not in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. The proposed R3B zoning is not compatible with the existing single family neighborhood that surrounds it. There is adequate supply of underutilized and vacant land currently zoned for multifamily residential uses located in the area to support the appropriate growth and development of the surrounding area. The proposed zoning would allow for increased density that could have a negative impact on the infrastructure that was designed for low densities.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? Come on down if you can just state your name and address and make your statement to the commission.
Good evening, City Plan Commission. My name is Belen Rees. I'm a realtor at Bentwood Realty here in Waco, Texas. I represent my client, Leopoldo Fajardo. He has been living at this address since 1996. He is a horse trainer, so there have been a lot of issues going on with the animals that he keeps in the back of the house. At this point, due to his age and condition of the home, he's not able to fix the home any further. Right now, what we do see is there's potential, and he has been approached in the past from developers to purchase the land. There is the neighbor who's adjacent with 5 acres that is zoned R3. So we do believe that if we do list this property, the other property would come on the market. I'm aware that half a block behind, there is also a PUD with heavy traffic that goes through there as well. I grew up in the Waco area, so I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. What I'm trying to do here, due to the fact that gentrification has gone on, properties have gone through the roof. Again, my client's a very specific, unique client that needs to be able to cater to the horses that he has. He has at least 15. There's been many issues with City of Waco due to them having animals despite of them living there since 1996. There's no way I can find a property if it's listed at R1 for him to be able to buy something similar, if not better, for him and his family. That is my concern. While I understand City of Waco says the infrastructure is not there, I'm not sure if the infrastructure has ever been there. I hate to say it. I think it's grown beyond its capacity to begin with. Again, I am a local. I'm well-versed what has happened drastically in the last 5-6 years here in real estate. And I'm very happy to see it grow, absolutely. But I also am for the citizen, for them to be able to continue to live well. I've seen it even at the ABR when I served on the McLennan County Appraisal Review Board in 2018, where there's people literally counting their pennies from their Social Security to pay their taxes on houses that they owned outright. This is not why I became a realtor, to get people out of their homes. No, I became a realtor so people could still sustain their homes and be able to do what they love passionately. This man loves to race horses and help community, and that's what I'm here trying to help him and his family do. Thank you for your time.
Are there any questions from commissioners for the speaker?
I guess, of note, you mentioned that there's an adjacent segment of R3B, which is what you're asking to.
Yes, sir.
Rezone it to. It's my understanding that that was rezoned prior to the new land use map that was approved in 2016.
Okay.
Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of the map.
Did I say that right? Was it the land use map? So from my perspective, that's giving me some pause in approving it, because even though it is adjacent, ordinarily I would legally say, yeah, it's adjacent, it's the same, but because of the change of that, for that reason I'm leaning against approval.
Okay, so James Stewart's property is going to change to a different zoning, or is it going to remain the R3B?
As far as I know, there's no request for it to change back to R1.
Okay.
It's just that when, at the time it was changed to R3B, it was under a different land use.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to meet with city staff to discuss their concerns?
No, I haven't. I was out of the country on an international, what do you call it, trade mission trip. So I just got back literally from Mexico last weekend. So I've had no time.
Are there any additional questions? I'll just add one thing, just so you and your client can know. This area obviously has a lot of different types of zoning in it. I can only speak to essentially the 3 years I've served on the commission, that there has been a consistency in recommendations of disapproval from staff just for this area.
Okay.
That doesn't say anything about your your client's property. I just want you to know kind of the backstory
Correct.
of at least the last few years.
I understand, and I also understand that, sometimes plans actually sit on the City of Robinson's Planning and Zoning Commission Board. So I understand sometimes we have proposed maps of what we want the city to be, what the city we want it, to grow in certain aspects, but sometimes there is the exception where we sometimes have to tweak it up a little bit, and I still feel it's within the guidelines of what possibly is proposed for the area. I get it, we're asking for, multi-housing, high density compared to the single-family residence, but again, it is a very mixed-use area when I drive down 3rd Street, even if I turn on Gurley, and it changes completely as well. So, and it's all of Baylor area, to be honest. So what I feel I'm asking is not so much just to be, in line with that, but again, back to my client, if that persists, what are they to expect from City of Waco if they keep, saying your conditions are not adequate for the area despite of them being there from 1996? It's like, how can I help them be able to, comply with City of Waco and be able to get out of that environment to be in a more adequate location, out in the country or something? So that's why I'm here.
No, I understand.
Ms. Marie Ruiz, did you explore a lower density residential like R2, maybe duplexes, or was it just a straight jump to the?
It was a straight jump due to the fact that I did see there was the adjacent neighbor that already had it on their 5 acres, due to what's behind, the PUD. So I didn't think it was too out of line. Obviously, it's going to develop, depend on the developer that goes through, that purchases. Ultimately, that's going to be the deciding factor coming again before y'all, for y'all to approve, some of those plans at that point. Right now, what I'm trying to do is get it listed, give them a chance at least for them to be able to get a buyer and move on where there's no more, difficulties with the City of Waco itself. And you're aware that, pricing in real estate right now is nearly impossible. You cannot find land, you cannot find farm and ranch. I cannot find a property that has enough adequate stables for 15 horses below $700,000, if even that. If I list this at R1, I'm not even going to get half of that for my client. So, I'm not helping them at the end of the day. Any other questions?
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else here to speak for the applicant? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Okay, we will, well, do we have any final questions from commissioners for the public hearing? We will close the public hearing. We do have a recommendation of disapproval from city staff for the land use as well as the rezoning changes, and we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to disapprove based on recommendation in the staff finding.
We have a recommendation of disapproval by Mr. Browse, second by Mr. Cole. Any further discussions before we vote?
So the reason I second it is that appears to me that this has been zoned residential, and although the applicant may be using the property outside of its intended use now for horse training, I don't think that justifies trying to zone it into use for them selling it at a different value. So that's why I'm zoning disapproval, and the applicant will meet with the city for approval next week.
I'd also like to note that I appreciate you coming to speak today. I'm sympathetic to your situation, but I think based on the precedent and the current land use map, I feel that disapproval is more in line with the city's long-term plan.
Please poll the commission.
Browse,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Reynolds, Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
In the case of Z-21-79, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, just to point out one thing on this
Yes.
case, it's going to have two motions. So I'll go ahead and read in the request. Mr. Chair and members of the commission, this is a public hearing for a request from the city of Waco for property located at 914 South Valley Mills Drive, property ID 162872900, 904, 906, and 910 South Valley Mills Drive, 3000 Williams Landing Road in 3220, 3232, 3300, 3306, 3308, 3312, and 3316 Willowbrook Street, property ID 161067, 161068, 161069, 161070, 161071, 161072, 161073, 161074, 161075, 161076, 161077, 161078, and 161079, and also 3301 Memorial Drive, property ID 161080, 918 South Valley Mills Drive, property ID 161081, and 916 South Valley Mills Drive to 920 South Valley Mills Drive, property ID 161082. The request is for land use designation as urban residential and zoning as R1B for properties located at 914 South Valley Mills Drive, 900, 904, 906, and 910 South Valley Mills Drive, 3000 Williams Landing, and 3220, 3232, 3300, 3306, 3308, 3312, and 3316 Willowbrook Street, and to urban residential land use designation, also to rezone to R1B Single Family Residence District. Let me see, that right, okay. Sorry about that, it's a lot of reading. Second part here, land use designation as mixed flexed and mixed zoning as C2, 3301 for property located at 3301 Memorial Drive, 918 South Valley Mills Drive, and 916 South Valley Mills Drive to 920 South Valley Mills Drive. And to C2 Commercial District. I think I got this. Okay, that's everything.
And we are recommending approval of all of those requests. Do we need the findings?
We need the findings for that. Let's see.
I can read those. It's okay. Planning Services recommends approval of the request to establish a land use designation of urban residential for properties that Mr. Boyd previously stated on record, based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed urban residential land use designation. 2, there is urban residential land use in the vicinity of the subject property. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to establish the zoning as R1B for those properties based on the following findings. The proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the property meets all the size and width requirements for R1B zoning. 3, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the R1B zoning district. And 4, there is R1B zoning adjacent to the subject property. And then Planning Services recommends approval of the request to establish a land use designation of mixed-use flex for other properties that are located at 3301 Memorial Drive, 918 South Valley Mills Drive, and 916 South Valley Mills Drive-20. Based on the following findings, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. 2, there is mixed-use flex land use in the vicinity of the subject property, and Planning Services recommends approval of the request to establish the zoning as C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the property meets all the size and width requirements for the C2 zoning. 3, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. And 4, the proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area and consistent to previous zoning of the properties when located in the city of Beverly Hills. And we did mail out 37 notices and had 0 returned on this request.
All righty, thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? I guess in part already have. All right. Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay. We'll close our public hearing. Is there any discussion from commissioners before we take a motion? Okay, so we are going to entertain a motion as our agenda lines these out as item A first and then item B. So in the item A, the land use designation change of urban residential and zoning of R1B. We'll entertain a motion. Recommendation of approval from staff.
So I'll make a motion to approve the land use designation as urban residential and the zoning is R1B single family residential. And move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Browse, second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson, Lane,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
In regards to the land use designation change to mixed use flex and the zoning change to C2 or zoning establishment C2, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve based on the staff recommendation.
Second.
Sorry. We have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Mr. Vickers. Any further discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson, Lane,
Yes.
Reynolds, Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Okay, that concludes our agenda for this evening's business session of the Plan Commission. Our meeting is adjourned.